In the 40 hours I spent charming, flying, and cursing my way through Hogwarts Legacy, I encountered bland enemy design, repetitive combat, and a lack of RPG elements. However, at its core, Hogwarts Legacy is a worthwhile and fun open-world action-adventure game worthy of your time, especially if you are already a fan of the wizarding world.
Glaciers! Stop that! Expelliarmus! For what?
From the outset of my journey, I was grinning from ear to ear. I have been itching to play a game like Hogwarts Legacy since the days of GameCube. I grew up reading Harry Potter and watching the movies, so seeing Hogwarts so faithfully recreated in such grand detail had me stopping my adventure mid-quest to take in the scenery. Unfortunately, most of what you see in the game, however beautifully rendered, is not interactable. The paintings on the walls move, but you can't speak to them. House elves apparate out of a room whenever you enter one, and there isn't a set school schedule like in the Persona series games. I felt like a Hogwarts student in name and name alone. The school part of the game takes a back seat to the action part, and as someone who loves a good life sim game, I was disappointed that I didn't have to worry about being late to potions class or actually having to take an exam or two. With games like Yakuza Like a Dragon having college quiz minigames, you'd think a game that takes place in a school would care more about letting players emulate the Hogwarts student experience. You can speak to other students, but only specific ones who give you quests, which becomes the only reason to talk to your classmates outside of classes. I wish there was a larger emphasis placed on the relationships between students because that was such an integral part of the Hogwarts experience in the books and films.
If I have the time, I may look. Could be intriguing.
I've been racking my brains long enough. I hope you'll have better luck than I have.
After creating your witch or wizard, non-gender specific, you meet Professor Fig, who serves as your guide and mentor throughout your adventure. Once you get through a brief tutorial and an introduction to basic spellcasting, you arrive at your sorting hat ceremony at Hogwarts. The game allows you to choose the house you wish to join, but there is a way to let the hat choose for you if you're unsure or just want to be sorted based on your personality. Each house has a unique common room and dorms for students to explore, but aside from a single chest to open later in your adventure, there isn't really a reason to venture to your common rooms. There are no vendors there, and you can't sleep in your bed or study for exams in the dorms. Again, the castle looks more alive than it is in terms of interaction. The same cannot be said for nearby Hogsmeade Village and the Room of Requirement, which are two locations I spent a considerable amount of time in during my playthrough. Hogsmeade Village is a short walk or eventually broom flight away from Hogwarts, and students travel there freely to get school supplies and other consumables to help them on their journey. The loop of going on a mission, obtaining rewards, then heading back to Hogsmeade to buy more supplies was a natural rhythm I fell into early on. As I progressed, however, I found myself frequenting Hogsmeade less as my Room of Requirement grew to better suit my needs. Once unlocked, the Room of Requirement serves as a home base for your Hogwarts hero. While initially confined to one room with limited crafting recipes, with a few upgrades, you can have up to 3 full rooms filled with potion brewing stations, planter boxes, and enough furniture and wall art to make even the most hardcore Animal Crossing fan envious. The coolest aspect of your Room of Requirement are the areas that allow players to breed and interact with various magical beasts. Beasts provide your hero with different materials, which can be used to improve the stats of your equipped gear, as well as to create new enchantments for your clothing items. There's a lot more depth to the magical beasts than what I'm willing to say in this review, and in fact, one of my favorite parts of the game came from interacting with different beasts, and I don't want to spoil too much for those who haven't played the game yet. Players will spend most of their time fighting goblins, dark wizards, and a small number of magical beasts. Apart from a few boss fights, the enemy variety is underwhelming. In a game with such rich lore to pull from, I wanted there to be more interesting enemy types. I found myself crutching a few spells that did reliable damage to most enemies, and would switch to situationally applicable spells to dispatch foes quickly or break an opponent's shield. Once you learn the spells needed to defeat enemies more quickly, combat becomes a bit of a chore. It was also unsettling to see a 16-year-old student take the life of a goblin or dark wizard so easily. I hoped that the story would help to contextualize some of this violence and make me feel that it was necessary, but the story was one of the least impressive parts of Hogwarts Legacy. On its surface, Hogwarts Legacy looks like a much more impressive game than it is. Don't get me wrong, I still think it's a fine game, but I can't recommend it to those who want to play a deep RPG or a game with a compelling and interesting story. However, if you are a fan of the source material, or just want to play out your every fantasy as a Hogwarts student, there is absolutely no better way to experience the wizarding world than by playing Hogwarts Legacy.